This last year has really been about listening, and it's been about learning. When we launched the Aletheia Framework back in December 2020, it was really with an aim to open up the conversation around artificial intelligence ethics. Our voice in that conversation is really about practicality. It's about moving from thinking about the really hard questions around AI ethics to a space in which you can actually make practical steps to deploy artificial intelligences in your processes in a way that not only you can trust, but you can also feel confident is aligning with the ethical position you take in the world. And what's been really wonderful, and we've loved to see over the last 12 months, has been the range and the quality of the conversations that have happened as a result of our publishing of the framework last year. We've learned about where organisations who are deploying Aletheia find it helpful. We've learned about where they find it challenging. We've learned about where there are bits that we missed and bits that we should have included from peers in many sectors, the education sector, media sector, working with UNESCO, the UK government, with colleagues in the healthcare. And all of that discussion and all of that scrutiny and application of what we released last year, we've put into the second release of the Aletheia Framework, Aletheia 2.0.
We've made 3 changes in version 2 of the Aletheia Framework. The first change we've made is to make it more accessible. So the language is no longer engineering speak, it's accessible to a non-engineering company, and also remove some of the organisational language that would now make it usable for a startup, for example. The second change we've made is to put more substance into some of the realisation principles so that people engage better and therefore the output is more robust. The third change we've made is to add a tool for helping people address the big challenge of bias in AI. The bias module is based on a very well tried and trusted engineering approach looking at identifying risk in very complex systems. We've taken that and applied it to AI. So the tool will there identify where the likely areas of bias are, what the impact is likely to be, how you could detect it, and then how you can mitigate all of those areas to massively reduce the amount of bias in your artificial intelligence. What I like about version 2 is how it's been a collaboration. Version 1 was a collaboration inside Rolls-Royce between our ethics department, manufacturing engineers, HR, even our unions were involved in creating version 1. And version 2 has been a collaboration outside of Rolls-Royce from those people who've used it so far.
Something that we've been really inspired by is working with other industries outside of our own. We've noticed some real value to be had in doing that. For example, we've been working with a startup in the music industry. This has been helpful to see how the framework can be applied in a startup case in a sector totally different to ours, but also working with a group of oncologists who are looking at using AI to develop cancer care. We know that AI is going to transform every industry. Whatever sector you're in, if you're creating AI products, you need an ethical framework to make sure that you're developing and using these products correctly, and the Aletheia Framework allows you to do that because it not only helps you to mitigate some ethical risks, but also might help inspire some things that you might not have thought of to consider. And that's why it's so important to work and collaborate with other sectors so that we can learn from each other, give advice, learn from our mistakes, and perhaps teach each other on how to use AI ethically.
So I'd encourage everybody who's using artificial intelligence or thinking about using artificial intelligence in their businesses to download the Aletheia Framework version 2, take it away, have a play with it, have a think about how it works in your context or doesn't work in your context, and then join in that conversation with us so that collectively we can practically deploy artificial intelligence ethics into the world in which we live.